I want to thank you for doing this for me. Yeah,
No problem.
it's an honor. I have a question for you. That one of my friends, he's a huge fan of yours as
Mhm.
well, and he wanted me to ask you if you were influenced at all by Funkadelic or Gary Scheider. I think his name is.
Gary is what? He was a bass player?
I'm not sure what his position
Oh,
was. I just
okay, because I remember Funkadelic was a big part of my vocabulary when I was listening to music back in the early 70s.
right.
Um, and I didn't actually pick out anyone in the band, but it was all about the songs.
Yeah.
And the songs, it was black guys playing this heavy soul music, which is me being, 21 years old at the time. I'm looking for somebody to push the envelope because I've been listening to Motown and Stax Bolt music all my life, and Ray Charles and staple singers and stuff like that. And I'm at that place where, like every teenager is, they want something new. They want somebody to push the envelope. And Funkadelic came along. The first three records were a big deal for me because that was the same time Bandit Gypsies came out.
Yeah.
And so, and then the Meters, was it? I think it was the Meters put a record out called Black Rock around the same time. So there's these three bands that came out in the same era doing this heavy rock music that was soulful, that was directly from people that were pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
It affected me in a big way. And then they disappeared within a couple years. Everybody kind of went back to the funk thing and the disco stuff.
Yeah.
Mother's Finest stuck with it. They stuck with it all the way through and just kept rocking and bringing the soul rock to people. But yeah, that was it was important to me. I think it was really a small part of everything that I tried to put into my music, but it was one of those stepping stones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like every 10 years or so, I'd find a new band that inspired me to push the envelope towards them or away from them. Because it's art to me. Making music, it's you said it was like spiritual. To me, it's emotional and it's
Mhm.
mathematical.
Yeah.
Because if it's not mathematical, the emotions I can't control the emotion if there's no math behind it.
Mhm.
And so I like to write songs that have a groove that make you feel good or you feel you want to bang your head. And when you get that, that's when the emotion comes in and you put your heart on top of that and
Yeah.
you got the two things working for you. Yeah. So yeah, Funkadelic was a important part of my life for a moment. I remember when and Justice for All no, that was Metallica. America Eats Its Young came out. That was the fourth Funkadelic record. They completely made it about bass turn and went straight disco.
Mhm.
I mean, everything was four on the floor, and I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked. And I followed Funkadelic to the end. I know George Clinton now. I love him to death. Um, but those first three records really were the ones that just changed my life.
Yeah. So, um, how did you get started? You're left-handed too, I noticed. Now,
Yeah.
and I want to talk about that a little bit because I'm left-handed, and like when I first started playing because I'm left-handed, I was so limited on left-hand guitars.
Oh
You have that
yeah.
problem?
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
had that. I don't have a problem now. No,
Oh,
nobody
not
has a
now.
left-handed problem now. Back in the day, I played nothing but right-handed guitars until God, about 2 years into our career of after 2 years after we made our first album, I would say major albums, when I finally started to get left-handed guitars.
Yeah, they're hard to
Before
play.
that, everything was right-handed. You just turned them over, and
Yeah,
that was the way it was.
No, you're saying you turn it over, but you strung the strings the right way,
Oh
right?
yeah, I strung the
Yeah,
strings right. The first 6 months of playing bass, I played upside down and
yeah,
backwards.
that's what
And
I do.
somebody said if you switch the strings, well, it'll be easier. And I went, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters at the end of the day. Eric Gills is right-handed and
Nope.
plays left-handed and upside down.
Yeah.
So
I play left-handed upside down too.
yeah. Somebody said to me one time, I was in grade school and I wanted to learn to play saxophone, and I said to my music teacher, "I need a left-handed saxophone." And he said to me, "There is no left-handed saxophone." I says, "Well, I can't play it then." And he said, "No, he said it's a saxophone. Just he handed it to me and showed me how to play it, and there was no difference. And that's when I realized it doesn't matter what hand you play with; it's what you learn with."
Yeah. Yeah, because I started playing upside down because my friend who I was learning from was right-handed, and he had a right-handed guitar, of course.
Exactly.
So I didn't have a guitar for the first couple of years, so
Me too.
I just learned how to play upside down, and
That's exactly what I did, man. I wrote songs upside down in the bands that I played in before I played bass.
yeah,
I would take the guitars and make up shit upside down and then show it to them.
you know. I can't say it's really limited me. In some techniques it
It
has.
doesn't it doesn't limit you. It makes you create things that people that play the opposite way can't play.
Exactly.
I know that for a fact,
Yeah.
that so
There's certain things I'll do intentionally just because I know they can't play it. You
exactly,
know,
exactly.
but I've watched Eric Gills for years too because obviously he plays that way too.
Exactly. You can't copy him unless you're left-handed upside down. The way he
Yeah.
picks, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And I talked to like Schecter because they specialize in left-handed guitars.
Mhm.
It's like that they should, talk to Eric Gales about making a custom model for him. And they were saying that they've already spoken to him that he prefers the right-handed guitar upside down.
Oh, yeah, that's just the way he plays, he loves it.
Yeah, I'm like when I get up to the higher frets, that's where it bothers me upside down.
Yeah.
Try like
Notice Eric doesn't play up in the higher frets a lot.
I haven't really noticed.
Yeah, he doesn't. He
I
can't.
remember. I mean, I remember him when I was like 16 when he first came out.
Okay. Well,
And then,
I played in a band with him when we put 2 records out, so I watched him. I sat there in the studio and when we did, 3 records or 2 records called PGP,
yeah,
Pinnick, Gills, and Pridgeon, and so
was that
yeah,
a cool experience?
all 3 of us were left-handed too, which is
Ah,
crazy.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, how did you get into music, though? I mean, you mentioned about the Gary Scheider of the Funkadelic. That was obviously an influence on you for a while. What about when you first got into it? How did what inspired you? I mean,
Well, I've been singing in front of people my whole life, and there's always been a piano around that I played along with and sang along with. So, I've been doing what I've been doing as long as I can ever remember.
yeah,
People have been saying, "Dougie, get up and sing." Even when I was a little child, 5 or 6 years old, they had me singing.
um,
So there's no time in my life where it really was something I thought that I was doing or it was something special. It was just something that I did. And in school, grade school, I would sing and the teachers would go, "Oh, go to the choir and join the choir." Or somebody would hear me sing and say, "You need to sing here." And they'd point me to a direction and I'd just do it.
yeah,
And I won contests and nobody complained. They seemed to people who would take me under their wing everywhere I went as a child, all the way through high school. There were art teachers and music teachers that just I was their little darling, and they just showed me everything and taught me stuff. And so when basically that's basically all I did and listen to music records all the time. I didn't play sports. I flunked everything in school. They my my high school teacher let me graduate because she said, "Doug, we know you're not stupid. You just don't pay attention."
yeah,
Because I was just making music in my head all the time,
yeah,
and When I was 18, a friend of mine said, "Doug, want to sing in my band?" And I'm going, "Nah, I can't sing, man. I don't want to do that." And he said, "No, come on." And so I went and sang with the band. And from that day on, I was singing in a band. Um, about 5 years, 4 years later, I would say I was 23 when I started playing bass.
Mhm.
But before that, I just was the lead singer of bands, and I would get in. I broke up bands to put bands together because I was about the only singer in the town that was any good. There wasn't that many people in the town. It was a small town, but I just had a reputation of being a good singer, so everybody wanted me to sing with them. Then I started playing bass, and after I got better at bass, where I could play with the band, people just made me sing. They said, "Well, you're a bass player, but you're gonna sing too." I go, "Okay," and it's been that way. And even the side projects that I do now, all of them just about except I would say Tribe After Tribe, which thank God I said, "Robbie, you sing," but every side project I've been in, I've had to sing and play bass,
Yeah.
or just sing. So, um,
I know you did some stuff with George Lynch.
oh, yeah, with KXM, and I got a blues band called Grinder Blues.
Mhm.
It's like a ZZ Top, everything's tuned down to C. It's pretty
Nice.
badass,
Oh, that's
and,
dope.
you gotta check it out, Grinder Blues.
Uh,
We got 2 records out, you need to check it out,
I will.
I got to do some fun bass playing on that record. Well,
So, how did you get like start incorporating like rock into your singing and your style? I know you mentioned
I haven't changed my style. I've always sung this way. It's like, well, let me
like the
backtrack.
rock thing, you know?
Yeah, well, through grade school, from a child all the way up to high school, from the 50s to the early 70s, basically your standard rock singer, soul singer, blues singer, all kind of sang the same. And that's what I learned from all those people, from Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin, Mavis Staples, Ray Charles, Mahalia Jackson, and then you get to early 70s rock and roll, and all those singers are my age, and we were all listening to the same soul singers. Paul Rogers pops up and Ian Gillan, and we're all singing that way. We all have this like soulful kind of gospel voice. Seems like every band almost in the 70s rock band had a singer that had some kind of gospel vibe to them from learning, black music basically. And so I was one of those kids. I happened to be black and kept going with it when other people they went back to straight up soul music and started rock music died amongst the black community pretty much. I mean, there was Living Color and there was bands that have always popped in, but basically it's not been a very popular genre in the black community and the black
Right.
culture. So for me, I'm not doing anything different or unique. I'm just doing what I used to do, which had a moment in time that affected me, and I stuck with it.
Yeah. So, how do you go about writing? With King's X, for example. I love that band, by the way.
Thanks.
I love the way that you guys incorporate like blues and kind of like funk into
Amen.
the rock thing,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's amazing. Are you guys still playing, by the way?
Yeah, I just got home last week from a weekend of gigs on the East Coast somewhere.
Oh, it's awesome. I'd love to see you guys. I'm out in New York, Albany, and
Dude, yeah, we play upstate all the time.
yeah, I'd love to see you guys play. But it's uh, it's awesome that you're still doing it. So, like, how do you guys approach the creative process? Or you personally, how do you approach your creative process? And maybe something you share that might inspire others.
I think the easiest way to say it is, I don't know about any other musician, but there's always music going on in my head. Always a riff, always something. I'm walking, I'm talking, or something, and it's always in some kind of rhythmic pattern. Um, and I think that what happens is the downfall of many writers is that you think that the first thing that comes up in your mind is terrible
Yeah.
when it's not. There is no such thing as a terrible riff. And whatever the riff is, you can make a cool drum part around it, or you can make a cool guitar part around a horrible drum roll, or you can take a horrible key part and put a beautiful melody over top of it and make it a beautiful piece of artwork.
It's how you
And
develop
that's
it, right?
right. And you have to continually throw the different seasonings into the pot to see if it tastes good, if you can look at it that way. Sometimes you might put something into a song that just doesn't work. Well, you just take it out
Right.
and put something else in it or take it out. Sometimes you want to think about songs. How simple can I make this song, and how catchy can I make it? Not commercial wise, but just a way that any person would pick up their guitar and play along with it because it was fun.
Yeah.
And you think of like, "Girl, You Really Got Me." Da-da-da-da-da,
Right.
da-da-da-da. I mean, that is just fun. When you're 10 years old and you pick up a guitar and you play that with a beat, that's just fun,
Yeah.
and then you just sing about something that you're thinking about or feeling. It doesn't matter what you're singing or feeling as long as you sing it with if it's real and you have passion. Because some lyrics can be so stupid,
Right.
but if you sing them with passion, they mean the world. And some lyrics can be so intellectually perfect and so just perfectly right. And then you sing them in a way that doesn't have any feeling, then you've lost the moment. So all these things, you have to put them in a blender and find the right ingredients to make it work. And how do you do that? You listen to those people that do that. You listen to those singers and you listen to those guitar players and those bass players who, when you listen to them and they gave you a goosebump, then go figure out what they did and how they did that and why they give you that goosebump. And when you get enough of that goosebump knowledge, if I want to say it that way, if you're getting enough of that goosebump knowledge in your head, you can start forming your own gift that you have into something that people will get the same thing out of
Yeah.
because it's all something that's learned. I really believe that no matter how old or young you are, you hone in on certain things. You hone in on vibration of the voice. You hone in on the frequencies and how they work with each other. And when you listen to a kick drum, and if the bass sounds bad, you go, the bass sounds horrible. But in reality, it could be the kick drum that sounds bad, and it's not the bass drum. You have to know those things in your head. You have to listen, and you have to go, why does that sound weird? And what made it sound better? When I first started listening to music, I just listened to music because I really didn't play anything. And I'd hear a band and I'm going, okay, that's a song. I'd sing along to it. I had a great time. Then every now and then I'd hear a record and I'd go, wow, that band sounds good. But then the next song come on, and I'd like the song and I'd sing along to it. And now that I know better about sonics, I realize I really there's certain sounds that I really liked and certain sounds that I didn't know I didn't like, so I just ignored them.
Mm.
And sometimes we listen to music in an uninformed musical way where it's this is it. Is it a good song? And that's the way most of the world listens to songs and music. Is it a good song?
Right.
Us musicians listen to it as was bass line right? Was that drum part right? Was that shirt on pitch? Or did it have a hook? I can't believe that song was number one. It didn't have a hook.
Mhm.
It's because it has nothing to do with that. It's how you create that piece of bread that makes people want to bite into it and just drink it up. And that's what you got to really dive into. That's the most important thing. I've seen so many new musicians who could play rings around anything I could even think of,
Yeah.
but I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. It is the way it's set up now, where
Mm.
you can learn anything online, you can learn it quick, easy. Everything is quick and easy now, and the kids nowadays, it's see, back in the day when I was young, I was a sponge like they are today. I just didn't have a computer. I just didn't have, music at my feet 24 hours a day. We're all the same people. These people just have a different way to soak in all that uh, information,
Yeah.
and they're soaking it in a different way than we did.
Yeah.
We caught it slower, so
Mm.
we saw the nuances and we saw the little teeny things. They don't see those things. They just getting full with it. So here's the thing: older people don't hear the passion, but the younger people hear something else. They hear something else because they've sat and they've watched video games and they've heard all that mechanical sound. They've heard all that, and then all of a sudden you get gent music going. That's because these kids understand it. They understand that it's their world and they get it. They get goosebumps because they know how to create that energy that we were creating back in our day in a different way.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. So we have to let them embrace what they do. I don't get a lot of it. I don't get a lot of the pop music today with I'm going, this isn't music to me anymore.
Yeah.
But when you see 100,000 people in an arena listening to one guy on stage with a beatbox, and they're out there chanting like Zulu warriors, these kids going. You see their hands going, something's going on there. And we can't deny that. And we shouldn't discredit it because if we do, we're doing exactly what our grandparents did to us when we were growing up listening to rock music, when we grew our hair out long. That's hippie music, that's bug music. I remember I was 22, 23 years old, and I went over to my uncle's house who played nothing but BB King and Muddy Waters and all that old stuff. He had 78s, and I mean, he just played it all the time. I would go over and listen to blues with him. I brought over the Allman Brothers and I said, hey, check this blues band out. It's a new band. And I played him Allman Brothers, and he said, what is that crap? And to me, that was the new blues.
Mm.
It was a new offshoot. It was music that I could relate to. And I just felt like I was shut down and told, that ain't blues. I even play them Jimi Hendrix and they go, that ain't blues. What is that stuff? So we don't want to be that. We want to let the kids create the music that relates to them because they need their own music. They
Yeah.
have, a, they have another vocabulary to deal with. They've got another world that they deal with. They don't see the world like we do, and they never will. And we can never see the world like they do. I cannot imagine being 10 years old now, knowing how 10 years, 10 years ago, the technology that we had and how long it took us to get there. Because I was born in 1950. And so these kids have oh my goodness, it's, it's scary and it's interesting and it's intriguing all in one. I just want to see where it's going.
That's a very interesting way to look at it. Instead of disregarding what's going on right now or discrediting, which I am guilty of.
We
In
all are. We all are.
bias.
Most people don't know older people that are just us pure rockers. Most people say that, and that's why I have to reiterate that about my the way I look at it, and as the way we should look at it, because we can learn more from them too. And don't get me wrong, because there are bands out there that are touting that 70s rock and roll thing, and they're really, really good at it, but they can't write good songs. That's what I'm missing now is like, where's some of the if you want to sound like Led Zeppelin, I want you to sound like Led Zeppelin. It's 30 years ago. So if you can break that shit down and give me something that you've interpreted from you learning about Led Zeppelin at 20 years old, I'm ready. I want to hear it. But write me a good song. That's all. Just don't just sound like them. Write
Right.
the fucking good song. And I think that is something that's missing in the new wave of rock bands that are coming out, and I wish them all the best of luck. I just hope they find some great songs.
Yeah, that's awesome. That, that's definitely making me think differently now, and take a look at my perspective on it, which I think will, whoever watches this interview will definitely make them think about it too. People that are more our age or that grew up with a
Mhm.
similar genre of music that we did, which I remember when metal kind of just got put on the back burner and you got bands like Nirvana,
Yeah,
that came out. And at that time, I remember thinking to myself, this is crap, you know? And it was totally, biased against it. And I just did not want to accept the possibility that it was the music.
yeah,
And because, I spent umpteen thousand hours practicing being able to play a guitar solo and
right, right.
like Kurt Cobain that was like playing four notes.
Well, the biggest thing we learned from that, and maybe it's because I've been around a little bit longer than a lot of the younger ones, and even you, is that things go around in circles, and we forget that or we don't realize that. I mean, in the 80s, all of a sudden, when someone came up with a drum machine, drummers didn't have a job anymore. And all of a sudden, electronic drums came along, but drums are back again. You
Mhm.
know, things come and go. It's funny how I've seen guitar players who play a genre of music that seems maybe quite primitive or modern, and then you get them home, and all of a sudden you can see him shred in the corner. Like Jeff Buckley, for instance, you know, um, his music was so amazing and changed the way we listen to music. But if you look at his history and how he got there, he could shred like anybody else back in the day. So it's not it's not to me it's like learn it all and use it when you need it, and if you don't need it, put it away, and that's the best way to do it. I
So,
think
so
if you want the longevity of it,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I totally agree. Like,
And I gotta say that the 90s, when Nirvana came out, I don't know too many people that don't remember when they first heard some of Teen Spirit. And you know what's really ironic about it is that in 1964, I just about everybody I know can tell you when they first heard I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles. And even in those two instances, it is quite obvious that those songs changed everything. And the reason why they changed everything was because they went back to ground zero musically. They went back to the most primitive way to make music and to write a song. After usually it's a decade of songs getting to the point where they get so complicated. You had Bill Spectrum and his wall of sound back in 68 and 69 to the point where it was just a bunch of noise. And all of a sudden the Beatles come out with this little garage band singing, I Want to Hold Your Hand, like they were coming from Motown, but on 10. And it was like kids went, "This is us." And like Nirvana, when they came out, "Smells Like Teen Spirit," Dave Grohl played the drum beat that no drummer would play because that was the first drum beat you played. And if you played that, that meant you weren't any good. You could talk to any drummer in that era, and they would tell you. They all had double kicks, and they all had the whole thing. Dave Grohl comes out doing the stupid drum beat that the first drum beat that anybody learns, and and Kurt Cobain is playing bar chords.
Right.
Okay, back in the 70s and 80s, music teachers taught guitar players to play chords. They said bar chords are primitive. Don't play bar chords. It was across the board. You don't play bar chords. That's for country music.
It's all
And
power
Kurt,
chords.
and Kurt Cobain came out playing fucking bar chords with a drum beat that was amazing. And then a song that was like John Lennon singing it. And what do you do with that? It was like everybody went, whoa, because it was so different than round and round,
Yeah. Right.
or Guns N' Roses. We were tired of that, and that was the difference. Lots what changed. Even grunge in itself changed everything, but Nirvana just really screwed us all over in a way that I mean, the look, the sound, the way people mix music, producers changed. Um, People didn't have jobs no more. I remember what's his name, a producer that produced us that did Rat and Poison and all of Mike. And I keep forgetting.
Michael
Yeah,
Wagner.
yeah, Michael Wagner. I remember when he produced us, he said, dude, when Nirvana came out, man, I couldn't get a gig anymore. It was like everybody just whopped and changed. So, and those things happen in music and you have to embrace it and watch the history of rock and roll just continually move on because it keeps moving, it keeps changing. And trends change, sounds change. Metallica comes out with "And Justice for All," and there's absolutely no bass in the mix. It sells couple million records, and all of a sudden, every metal band that came out after that had no bass in the mix. You know, it's like people are just gonna follow whatever is the biggest thing until they wear it out, and somebody
Yeah.
else comes along, screws it up, and says, "Hey, everybody, check this out," and we turn our heads. It's just Pied Piper magic, sorcery.
Speaking of Justice for All with the bass, I hate that they basically eliminated it.
Yeah, and I've heard it with the bass in it. Somebody put the bass in it, and they nailed it, and it didn't seem the same. He
No,
played everything great, but it was just like there's something about that record without the bass that gave it this eerie, dark, empty, gloomy feeling. And the lyrics were so dark and cold, and that record was just it was like a death kind of dead record. It was
yeah,
really,
raw.
really cold, and when you put the bass in it, it's rocking like Metallica should be rocking, but it ain't the same no more. And so I went, "Wow, what do you do with that shit?" Because when you put something out and you give it to the world, they embrace it as what it is.
Yeah,
And you can't take that back and you can't fix it and you can't change it. Because if you do, it ain't gonna work.
I don't know. I just hate the fact that the remix they did on it or whatever. It just
It did rock.
yeah, it rocks. It definitely rocks. It's one of my favorite Metallica albums. But
Wow.
I just I just when I think of Metallica, I think of like bottom end, you know,
Yeah.
power,
Yeah.
powerful bottom end.
Right.
But I still love the album. And I believe this 100% that music keeps us young. It really it keeps us in touch with our deeper self and our
Yeah.
emotions and everything. And I think it helps us to stay young, even spiritually, maybe. You know, um,
I think musicians, certain musicians have they just, they're, there's different calibers of everything, and some of us musicians are just, this is who we are, what we are, and what we will always do, and it drives us, and it will never go away.
yeah,
Then there's other people that aren't as driven and get and let the woes of life bring them back to some kind of reality where they can survive and just have the best life that they can possibly have with what they have to deal with. So there's a big difference, because doing what you do has to do with who you live with and who you spend your time with and who you've given yourself to.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with the music that you make in every way, whether you're alone or you have a family with 30 kids, it affects you and it affects your art. The love that comes and goes, the tragedies, the inspirations, the things that come and go with the everyday occurrences that you live with, Some days it hits you and you just fucking write a great song. And some days you don't care and you don't want to even don't even want to pick up a guitar, and it might be a month, you can't beat yourself up. You just go, I'm not inspired right now, but when I am, it's going to be a doozy. Did I say doozy? I can't believe I'm that old.
Well, that to me, dog, dog, that's definitely inspiring because you know, to be that driven still after all these years, for you to be that driven after all these years, and people like yourself that it's just who you are. It's just what you do, and that's what you're always going to do. You know, and there's some people out there that they're passionate about music or whatever, but then they get caught up in instead of the regular kind of reality of 9 to 5 job and blah 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 blah. But and the, and they're okay with that. But
Sometimes you have to be,
yeah,
Sometimes your circumstance says you have to be. I
forcing
think
me in
about
that
I think
situation.
about that a lot because I don't have a family, I don't have kids and all that kind of stuff, and I want to fantasize and think, oh, my kids are going to be so cool, and they're all going to be musicians, they're going to be like me. I don't have to deal with them, When then I might not, my kid might be autistic or my kid might be depressed or I who knows what you have to deal with when it comes to your family and all the time that you have to spend with them to make sure that they have a healthy, successful life. Um, those are things that I didn't have to deal with. So it gave me more time to work on what I do and even feel more fulfilled at it, Like everything, and nothing comes for free, I mean, loneliness comes with not having anyone, but I write some great songs about loneliness, So it's like this, that's a part of the soup that we all drink when it comes to making music and art.
Uh, all right. Well, then I guess I'll end it with whatever projects you might have coming up. You said you're with King's X, doing. You still touring with them?
Yeah, we're doing shows, going out doing what we do. I got a new solo record I just finished and I'm getting it mastered. Don't have a tour date yet, but soon we're gonna put it out and let me see.
Are you
Um,
mastering it yourself?
um, I might this time. I'm not sure. I'm thinking about it. At this point, we have enough stuff to mess around music these days. I might go down the rabbit hole and just learn how to do it myself, just because, at this point, I find that I'm not finding anything better than what I'm getting with all the stuff that I've got now. Now I find that when I send stuff to mix and they send it back telling me to take off all this stuff so they can put it back on in the mastering.
Hmm,
So
yeah,
it's like, at this point, I'm going, well, I want it to sound the best I can get it before I give it to you.
yeah,
And if that's a problem, then it's mastered, and I
right.
can, So I'm at a place right now where I'm dealing with that because I have a couple mastering friends really amazing at what they do,
Yeah,
but I'm finding that I'm finding these mastering plugins that I'm just quite happy with. And so, I don't want people to lose their jobs, but again, this is what happens in music, New things come along and old
technology.
jobs, it does, and it's scary. I think about 24 track studios. The tape studios, they're gone, and just everything keeps changing and changing, and we just got to keep up somehow.
Yeah, now you have AI in music too, which
Dude, I'm at a place here. I don't know what to do with that because somebody just posted a song with my voice and my lyrics over top of a metal song that AI wrote with a different melody, but it's my voice and my words. And I'm going, this is weird. And
yeah,
another thing too is when I'm mixing, my I have an AI mastering uh, plug-in, and after I get the mix the best I can get it where I really think it's good, I push a button and within 15 seconds, AI remasters it and changes shit around and makes it sound way better.
wow.
And it's like I sit there and go, and you hear the difference. You push the button, and all of a sudden, and it's cleaner, clearer, more separated, and it's
What's the
like I mine is Luna. Uh,
Luna? Is
Lu-
that the name of the plugin?
no, no, no. The plugin is Isotope. Izotope.
Right. I want to look this up.
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
And it's Isotope 8, I think it is. And it says a help assistant. And you push the button and this little thing comes up and it just all of a sudden and all of a sudden the mix. And then also with Isotope, after the song is mixed and all of a sudden it's done,
Yeah.
and it's on a 2-track and you can't go back and fix anything, you can put a plug-in on it and turn the drums up, turn the vocals up, or turn the bass up. But there's not one for the guitar, which is weird. I don't know why. But there's another plugin for the guitar that I don't know what it does, but when you put the guitar in stereo and
Yeah.
push this button, the guitar goes further out to the left and right than you've ever heard it. Dude,
Wow. Is that
the new mixing stuff is just insanely crazy good. It
yeah,
is done, and it's AI generated too. So I don't know where we're going with this, but it's blowing your mind. So my new record is all done in my house with Superior Drummer and Luna and all my plugins. Nothing's outward at all except for the microphone I sang in, which is a tube mic. Other than that, everything's straight in.
nice. No, that's great. Sweet. So you have anything coming out with the guys from King's X and Metallica?
Not yet, not yet. We talked about doing another record, but Ty's going to do a solo record. He's in the middle of that, and Jerry's going to do a solo record first. And then after that, we'll do another King Rex record because I'm ready. I got a bunch of Kings, and it's time to get on it. KXM, we've been talking about doing another record also. That's with George Lynch and Ray Loser from Korn. And Grinder Blues, my blues band, me and my guys, J-Bo and Scott Billman, they're brothers. And one plays drums and the other plays guitar, and they're fucking really good. And we do this blues kind of ZZ Top kind of blues thing,
Yeah, you're
and that's a
funny.
lot of fun. So
What's,
yeah,
what's
and
the
and don't
what's,
oh one more too. There's MPH,
what is it?
MPH that MPH. We put a EP out a few months ago. MPH. It's um. I gotta get this right because I have so many different letters.
Right.
MPH. MP. Pinnick. Myrick Hansen. MPH. Myrick Pinnick Hansen. Okay, Gary Myrick. If you ever heard of Gary Myrick, he wrote a song called "She Talks in Stereo," and there's a couple other. He had a bunch of hits in the '70s. Anyway, we got together with a friend of ours, a drummer named Mike Hansen, and we did this little boogie woogie EP, and it's MPH.
That's awesome.
And
There was one.
what else? There's a couple other things I can't even think of right now. Geez.
Something you mentioned earlier that you told me that I needed to check out. Was that the blues thing? You see some time
Yeah, Grinder Blues. Yeah.
kind of blues? All right.
And check out PGP, Pinnick Prison. Oh, Pinnick Gales
You
Prison.
got so many abbreviations.
Yes,
It's
Pinnick
gonna be
Gales.
hard to keep.
It is now Pinnick
Mhm.
Gales Prison, PGP. And I'm always the one that initiates these initials. So maybe I ought to back off a little bit and find another name because this is getting kind of crazy.
Well, all
But
right.
what it is when I do things with people that are in other bands, we just usually take their first name or their last name and put them together as a, you know, um, PGP or KXM.
Right.
K is uh, oh KXM is King's X, Lynch Mob, and Corn. So we didn't use our names, we used our bands. But okay, anyway,
It's
I
awesome.
know you gotta go.
No, I don't have to go. I could talk to you
Okay.
forever if you wanted, but I know that airtime's valuable, and I don't want to take
Yeah.
advantage of that.
Okay, well, we can do this again sometime. We'll do a number two, okay?
Yeah, Doug, thank you so much, man. You're awesome, man, and I'm looking forward to checking out your solo stuff as well as the new King's X you got coming out. Bud.
Cool, cool.
You're awesome, man. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.